This is Saranjana, the most mysterious village in India. Time seems to have stopped here. Cars are broken down. There are power lines on the ground, and people have just vanished into thin air. So what happened here? What's going on? Well, I trekked down to this village to find out. This is the story of Saranjana, the ghost village. This is how our journey started. The first leg went smoothly. We found a car and then we made it to the forest check post, also known as the gate to hell. Here we saw these two scary gates. One was locked, but the other was open. So we decided to go inside because we had permission. Little did we know, this decision would change everything. And after 3 hours of trekking, we found it. The lost village of This is what greeted us. Broken cars, a cricket bat lying around, and bikes strewn across the floor. It felt like everyone had vanished into thin air. But that's not all. Look at this. There are power lines lying on the ground, and the transformer has also fallen. It looks like an explosion happened here. But why? How? Who would do such a thing? We don't know. We then entered the village, and this is what we saw. Houses with roofs caved in, walls crumbling, and trees growing right through them. Nature has taken over this place. But wait, there's more. This is the school. The desks and chairs are overturned. Books are lying around and the bell is still hanging. Classes were probably going on when the explosion happened. We then reached the temple. It was built 70 years ago, and since then, not a single repair has been done. It's covered in moss and weeds, and the idol is covered in a white cloth. As you can see, no one has worshipped here for a very long time. We spent some time exploring the village, but we couldn't find anyone. The entire place seemed deserted. And then we came across this house. It looked different from the others, well maintained with flowers planted around it. Maybe someone lives here, we thought. So we knocked on the door, but guess what? No one answered. Just then, a biker passed by and we asked him about the village. He told us that his father had served in the army. And according to him, every full moon night, he hears strange sounds coming from this direction. Other than that, no one knows what happens here. After spending some time in this village, we found many weird things. Like these two statues. They're facing each other. Maybe a couple. But why did they build it like this in the middle of a forest? And why did they leave the village? Was it due to the curse of the village? Because there is a curse. According to legend, if you enter Saranjana, you will never be able to leave. But how did this curse come to be? Well, let me tell you. This is the story of the cursed village of Saranjana. Once upon a time in India, there was a small village called Millfield Hollow. The Matankar villagers lived happy and peaceful lives. Everyone loved each other, but they had one big problem. Every day, wild animals from the forest would attack them, kill their cattle, and destroy their crops. They were tired of living in fear, so they decided to do something about it. One day, they called a meeting and decided to send a delegation to the king. They wanted protection, but the king didn't agree. Instead, he sent his minister. And when the minister heard their problems, he said, "Don't worry, I will help you." Then he left to get some work done. Now, this minister was very cunning. He tricked the villagers and took a huge sum of money. Then he hired some soldiers and asked them to settle near the village. He promised them double salary and all the cattle they could eat.
The soldiers agreed and settled down.
One night, while the soldiers were sleeping, the villagers tied them up and killed them. But they had a problem now. Their bodies wouldn't decompose. They tried burning them, but that didn't work. They were stuck with these corpses. Just then, the minister came back to check on them. When he saw the dead soldiers, he was furious. He picked up his sword and shouted, "I will kill all of you." And just like that, he beheaded all the villagers and threw their heads into the river and their bodies into the forest. The next morning, the river flowed black and the trees bore the marks of the dead. The minister had won, or so he thought. You see, when he cut off the heads of the villagers, they became immortal. And this is what happened next. The minister was strolling in the fields when suddenly the ground split open and swallowed him whole. Then the earth shook and a pillar of light emerged from the ground. And when it disappeared, The minister was gone. Next, a whirlwind formed, uprooted all the trees, and created a deep gorge, separating the village from the rest of the world. At that moment, the immortal villagers came back to life. They had a choice, either become immortal or die. Some chose to die, but the majority chose immortality. However, there was a catch. They could only live in the village. If anyone dared to leave, they would immediately grow old in the blink of an eye and turn to dust scattered by the wind. And that's how the curse began. And this curse continued for 100 years until 1912, until one day, a young girl named Maya stepped out of the village. She had heard stories about the outside world her whole life, and she longed to see it for herself. She knew about the curse, but she was willing to take the risk. As soon as she crossed the boundary, an old woman stood before her. She smiled and said, "You shouldn't have come here, child." Maya asked, "What's beyond this boundary?" The old woman replied, "Only death and dust." Just then, the sky turned dark and lightning struck the ground. In the end, Maya turned to dust and the wind carried her away. Ever since then, no one has left the village. But we did. After spending some time in the village, we started our return journey. We were shocked to see that the same path now seemed even more treacherous. The sky was overcast, and the wind had picked up. Suddenly, the clouds parted and a ray of sunlight hit the ground. It felt like the gods themselves were watching us. After what seemed like an eternity, we finally made it out of the forest. Now, what do you think really happened in this village? Let me know in the comments below. Also, researchers believe that there's a natural gas pipe beneath this village, which occasionally leaks. The gas accumulates in the houses, and when it reaches a certain level, the entire house explodes. This is what happened in 2013, killing 4 people. Now, the government wanted to relocate the families, but they refused to leave. They believed that the explosions were due to the curse. To this day, no one dares to enter this village at night because strange sounds are heard. Some say they've seen apparitions roaming around. Others say they hear chains dragging heavy objects. Now, what do you think? Is this really a cursed village? Or is there a logical explanation behind all of this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And I will meet you in the next video. Until then, stay safe and keep exploring.